And a good evening. Welcome inside the bottom line. Lanny Ford, Juju Phillips along with you here on a Monday evening. I apologize for getting us on late, but I suck. We had a power flash earlier in the day, and I didn't realize it knocked anything off over here on the studio side. Everything else stayed up and working. I must have everything plugged into battery backups, I guess, except the computer over here. When this thing goes down, it takes it forever to come up. But we're good to go now. We're going to go ahead and go to our phone lines as we have our first guest, newly MVP of the State 3A Football Championship, Mr. Brady Stober. Brady, thanks for joining us again.
Yes, sir.
Did you really think you would be talking to us again this week after last week?
I was confident. Yes, sir.
Good. That's what we wanted to hear right there, is that you were confident. You know, it sounded like a good game from what I heard, and I kind of kept up with Facebook. I didn't have a way that I could really get on and watch. I had other things going on. Take us back just a little bit, kind of give us a little replay, a recap of the highest points.
You said the high points of the game?
Yeah, kind of the high points.
I think, offense kind of came out a little flat. We didn't play as well as we wanted to. But it was mainly the way they had their defense set up, just taking what they give us and just kind of piecing apart their defense. The line did a great job all night, giving me plenty of time to make the reads. And then, of course, Lackey, just finishing those long piece-together drives, just punching them in the mouth and getting it in the score. That was really, really big. And, that last drive, that was big.
It sounds like, and we're going to have Coach Glass on in just a little bit as well, but it sounds like they did a really good job of scouting the tape to kind of see what was available and making adjustments going into the game. Would you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Brady, tell us about the game. Before we get to the game, what was it like at school today?
It wasn't too crazy. I had some teachers, congratulating and everything. But, I could tell everyone was excited, but nothing too crazy.
When you got in the huddle on that game-winning drive that you ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown, what was said in the huddle, especially what did you tell the guys?
I mean, just like Dudley, I mean, these are the moments that we work for, and you could feel on the sideline the energy of the offense, just excited. It wasn't like a scared, like it wasn't a nervous. It was, all right, let's go do this. Let's go show them. Let's go make a statement. It was more of that attitude than a nervous or a scared. So, I had a lot of confidence going in there as all the guys were pumped up and ready to go win it.
Seems like that this was a back-and-forth game, that confidence that you're talking about. Every time that 71st punched one way, you guys came back and punched the other, took the lead. They came back and scored before you guys scored the game-winning touchdown. I thought the game-tying touchdown, I guess, that gave you guys the lead, and you went for two and made the two-point conversion. That was a big play. But the last play, do you call your own plays? Did that come in from the sideline? Is that something that you read or you change at the line of scrimmage? Tell us about that game-winning run that you dove into the end zone to win it for the Red Tornadoes.
Okay, yes, sir. So all the play calls come through our offensive coordinator, Coach Natoli, who does a great job at assessing the defense and just picking them apart. And he just has a great game plan going into each game. And that was it was a run where we pulled both the guard and the tackle. And so I'm reading that DN, and we have a couple run plays where we just pull the tackle and our guard blocking back on that DN. But with this play, we pulled both our guard and our tackle, so that DN was completely free. And so I was reading him, and I could kind of hear their defense, yelling to scrape down and take on the running back. So pre-snap, I had an idea, but I just had to read him and then pulled it because he came flying down. And as I was running, I saw our left guard, Nate, make a big-time backer block downfield as he was moving on to the next level, and just ran right behind him.
I can tell you, we were at a sports bar in Little Rock, Arkansas, getting ready to do the Lenore-Ryan game, and some Hickory people were with us, and they had a little tablet, and they had the game on, and coincidentally, Harding, which LR played in football on Saturday, Harding Academy, which is the local high school in Searcy, Arkansas, they were playing for the 4A state championship. So here you have a bunch of Hickory guys, and they won their championship as well. You got a bunch of Hickory folks and Lenore-Ryan people watching on one side of the bar. Then over on the other side of the bar, you had some people from Searcy, Arkansas, watching their team win a state championship. I thought that was kind of surreal. And then you had the two schools playing the next day in college football. But I tell you what, Brady, you had a lot of fans from Hickory that came down. I mean, how much did that support from the fans spur you guys on in the game?
Yeah, it had a great impact. I mean, obviously Carolina's a huge stadium, but I looked back up in the stands and it felt as packed out as any game. I mean, the crowd noise was there, the hype was there, and I mean, I think our side was twice packed out as theirs. So just having that community support really helped us. Did
their size bother you at all? They were pretty big, especially the guys in the backfield.
I mean, they had some horses, but I mean, our guys, it's been the story all year of us being the underdog and undersized. So I don't think it really intimidated us too much. We just knew we had to just keep pushing and outwill them.
We're talking with Brady Stover, quarterback MVP of the game on Friday night. You guys were the first ones to get that state championship under your belt for the rounds that were coming up this past weekend. I've talked to Juju about this, and we've said this. I felt like you guys were a year away from actually making a solid run to a state championship, but it seemed to all come together maybe a little bit quicker, and things just kind of fell in place, and I guess some of the gelling took place to where you could make this run.
Yes, sir. I think it was, in the season, once we started winning games, and not just winning but dominating, we kind of figured out we were a force to be reckoned with, and started believing in ourselves and just believing how good we could be, and just started to get that every week, those people down us, and it just was fuel to our fire to just keep going and keep going.
You mentioned about the game-winning touchdown and in the huddle. Did anybody talk about, hey, this is, for some of us, this is our last go-around. This could be our last game. This is going to our last drive. Let's go make history. First team in 27 years to win a state championship for the Red Tornadoes. Was there that kind of talk going on in the huddle or on the sidelines before you came out onto the field for that final drive?
Yes, sir. There's definitely talk like that. I think it wasn't more of this is our last opportunity, but it was more of like, this is what we work for. This is what we're made to do. This is what all the practices, all the hours, everything we put into it, this is what it comes down to, and these are the drives that people will remember forever. So go do it.
Brady, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Congratulations again. Now, are you off a sports season, or are you a basketballer or a wrestler, or you got a winter sport that you go to?
I'm not playing any winter sports right now. Just kind of getting back into training, getting bigger and stronger and faster. And but then I got baseball coming up too. That'll start right after the break.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time as always, and again, congratulations, and look forward to maybe chatting about this in the future next year.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Thank you, Brady. We appreciate it. Brady Stover, quarterback, Hickory Red Tornadoes MVP.
That's what they were talking about in the Friday night while we were watching the game, that he's got this it factor thing. that he's got this leadership type thing that I think some people noticed. Some of his teachers, even in middle school, maybe noticed that he has something special. And that whole group had something special going all the way back even to middle school, because a lot of those guys that passes that he throws to and the guys that he hands the ball off to, they were undefeated in middle school. Now, and I think they did pretty well in JV, too, before some of them got called up to play varsity last year. But, yeah, this is a special group, and a lot of them are back quite a bit.
2 feeder schools for Hickory, right?
Yeah.
Grandview and Northview.
Yeah, the only ones in Catawba County that have 2 feeder schools legally.
Well, and you know, the county schools basically built middle schools to be feeder schools.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to do it. But the ones in Hickory have been there for a while. They're just on each end of Hickory, North Hickory, South Hickory, kind of.
Yes.
So they can handle the students more. I just saw this, and you wonder how it's going to happen and how it's going to all play out. Drake May is going to skip the bowl.
Okay. I would think so. You're going to see a lot of that, I believe, more and more. I know. That's the world we're living in right now.
Now, but had this been a 12-team playoff and you were in the 12 teams, these kids would not opt out, I don't think.
I agree. I don't think they would either.
So keeping some of that top talent, once you expand this playoffs, I think it will help.
So his NIL money ended with his last game then now.
That I don't know.
Are they going to give him money to not play in the bowl game?
I don't know anything about that.
Well,
depends
what the language in the contract says.
I want to ask you another question.
Fire away.
I read this today. I know you're familiar with North Dakota State University.
Yeah.
And they're
the Bisons.
They're getting ready.
No, it's the Bison, I believe.
Is
you know the difference between bisons and bison? I didn't know you could. It was like deer. You don't say deers, but the team that LR played this weekend were called the Bisons. But I didn't know there were such things.
They are the Bison.
Yeah. Well, I always thought that. Now, this is what one of their announcers told us, that if there was another team somewhere in Arkansas, or another team that they play are called the Bison. So they changed their nickname from the Bison to the Bisons.
Now, they were Harding University, correct?
Harding University, yeah.
And there's one of those in Charlotte.
Yes.
Harding High School is actually called Harding
University.
It's
not after the former president.
That's right.
Named after somebody that doesn't have a very strong history of civil rights.
That's correct.
In the 50s and 40s and 60s.
But this is my question to you. The head coach from North Dakota State.
Yes.
1 game to play, I believe. I believe they won their semifinals. Next game up will be the national championship.
No, not that fast. They're in the semifinals now.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so they'll play Montana this Saturday.
Yes.
And then the winner of that game will go on
to the finals. Against either Montana State or a South Dakota State or somebody else, yeah.
Well, see, I've only got their stuff. I'm looking.
Okay,
at
sorry. Go ahead.
But the point is, their head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if you know who he is Matt
Ernst, something like that.
And Matt Ernst is leaving at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I was like, it said going to an FBS program. So I started looking and I saw Southern Cal, and I'm like, wait a minute, did they move off Lincoln Riley? He's going to Southern Cal.
Be defensive coordinator, right?
No, linebacker coach. He's not going to be the coordinator, not from what I've read. Assistant role at he's going to be linebacker coach.
That's it.
That's what I'm reading.
He's going to be a position coach.
Now, he's won 2 national championships.
Yeah, where's the guy that was the former head coach there? That he went somewhere in the Big 12, Kansas State, maybe?
The former head coach at North Dakota State?
Yeah.
I cannot remember. But you're right.
I think he's at Kansas or Kansas State. I can't remember. No, it's not
He's
Kansas.
Going to be the assistant head coach and linebackers coach.
Not
not coordinator.
Not run game coordinator.
That ain't what it says.
Co-defensive coordinator.
That ain't what it says.
Okay. That's a little surprising. Is he going to coach through the playoffs?
Before he hired him, Riley hired UCLA defensive coordinator D'Antonio Lynn to run the Trojans' defense. UCLA had one of the best defenses in college football in 2023, only allowed 4.6 yards per play. Now, the point I'm making, and Four and I have talked about this, is that not the best move instead of going from FCS power to a head coaching FBS job? Get on a staff in a huge program like that, Southern Cal, and understand how the ropes work at that level. I think that's one of the things that has hurt Mike Houston, Scott Satterfield. It's different when you step up to that next level.
Yeah. I don't know if East Carolina is Southern Cal, but I get your point. I know what you mean.
But it's a whole different world when you step up.
Some coaches are ready, some are not.
Scott went through with Appalachian. I want to say he was there 2 years or 1 year after FBS. They made a move to FBS. And then he went to Louisville.
I think it's more than that.
Was it? And then
he was there half a dozen years as head coach.
Not FBS.
He was there during the transition.
Right, but
and then they won 2 or 3 bowl games.
Under him?
I think so.
I have to go back and look. But the same thing with Houston. JMU made that move to FBS.
Yes.
But I don't know if that was in the plans when he was still there.
You heard rumors, but yeah, it really it didn't come about until after he had left.
Okay. Let me look at.
I got a feeling had he known that maybe they were going to stay or move up, he probably would have stayed there, not jumped at East Carolina. But who knows?
Okay, he was head coach at App from 13 to 18.
Yeah, 5 years, 6 years.
Right, but they weren't all. I'm trying to see.
I'm going to say 13 and 14. That or 15. Maybe there were like 2 or 3 transition years.
Okay.
Because they weren't very good.
He did. You're right. 4 bowl game eligibilities accredited to him.
Okay. Because I remember in 2014 when LR was really good, they were undefeated in the regular season. Prior to that, in that spring, when LR changed coaches from Mike Houston to Ian Shields, LR got 2 players from Appalachian who were on their team, and they wanted to still play, and they didn't want to go. They had maybe 1 year of eligibility left. Anyway, they came to LR and became starters, and they didn't want to go through the whole process because they figured once they get up to FBS, they kind of would wash them out. So I just remember 2014 was one of those years, and I guess what you're saying is true.
So he was head coach for 2 years, FCS and transition, and then he was head coach for 3 years where they actually played in the bowl. His 4th year, he resigned and went to Louisville before that bowl game in 18.
Yes,
that's what it was. I was thinking,
who was the who coach was one of the line coaches coached them in that bowl game? Can't remember who it was.
I don't remember.
It wasn't.
Wasn't Sean Elliott because he wasn't there.
No,
was it Clark then?
Was it no? Was it the guy that's at Georgia State? Maybe.
No, that's Sean Elliott.
Okay,
and he wasn't there.
Okay,
Sean Elliott wasn't there.
It was a line coach I remember taking over that for that one game, and then they hired Drinkowitz, and then
Yeah, it all went downhill after that. We all know that. I was looking. Okay, Drinkowitz was hired but did not coach in the bowl game.
Correct. One of the line coaches did.
Scott resigned on the 3rd of December, and then on the 13th they hired Drinkowitz. Mark Ivey, good friend of mine. I forgot about Mark Ivey. He was defensive line coach.
Okay.
And I don't know if he's still coaching now. And then the co-offensive coordinator was Sean Clark. who is the head coach now.
Yeah.
But they went Drinkowitz for a year. That was huge. That was big. I think that was big.
And they got him from where? You remember?
Drinkowitz?
Yes.
State, because everybody's glad to see him go.
NC State.
There wasn't nobody crying about that from what I understand. Let me take a quick break. We ain't going to take one tonight because I suck. We got on here late. Back in a moment. Joe Glass will join us next.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. We are a well-oiled machine tonight.
No doubt about it, man.
Well, I'm telling you what, a well-oiled machine. We're going to go right back to our phone lines and bring our next guest on. head coach of the newly crowned 3A state champion Hickory Red Tornadoes, Coach Joe Glass. Coach, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
Congratulations again. We had Brady on a little bit earlier tonight, and I think I mentioned this to you before, and I did with him. I saw a lot of great things happening at Hickory, but I felt like you were maybe a year away just from a maturity level of how many younger kids you had of making that final push to the state championship. But Brady said once things started coming together and kids started believing, it makes a whole lot of difference. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I felt like our seniors, they were locked in from day one. So, like I said, I've said this before from the time I got there. And then I think that having a winning JV culture really makes a difference. I think Brady lost 2 games when he was on JV total the whole time he was there, maybe 3. And then all those guys coming up and playing varsity, expecting to win. And I said this when we played East Lincoln. The difference between us and East Lincoln was last year is they expect to win and we're waiting to lose. Or going to see if we lose. So I think that made the biggest difference. And once and I really think the East Lincoln game this year was, even though they weren't the same team they were last year, it was still good, but they just, not having Ben Cutter and not having Mizell makes a big difference on that team. But I think that once we got that win against them, I think it kind of turned the tide for us, and our kids feel like, okay, yeah, we can win. And I think that was kind of the biggest turn for us.
Hey, Coach, what was it like after winning the championship and then being on the field there at Keenan Stadium and the feelings of the accomplishments that you guys did? Have you pinched yourself since Friday night?
I mean, honestly, we were talking today as we were walking back from the weight room after lifting. I was like, it just really hadn't sunk in yet, honestly. I mean, I'm already interviewing coaches for next year and everything else. You don't really have it's so fast-paced at those games, and there's so much going on, and you have to get out, and you have to worry about getting kids here. You don't really get a chance to soak it in. So it really still hasn't sunk in yet. I've responded to the 300-plus text messages and everything else, and it's still just kind of like surreal right now. Like, okay, well, I can't really believe we just did this because, I told, everybody, I thought we were a second or third round playoff team this year. And I thought next year would be, the chance, and then we just kept winning and kept winning and kept winning. And then I think again, once we beat AC Reynolds, I thought, okay, we got a chance. But until then, I was kind of like, okay, well, we'll get to West Henderson or get to Dudley and probably won't get past them. But, it is what it is. They saw it through.
Game-winning drive, the MVP, Brady talked about a little bit, that game-winning drive and the scoring the game-winning touchdown. What was the talk from you to the offense or to Brady there getting ready to start that last drive?
Didn't say a word to them, honestly. Like, those guys have so much confidence in each other. When we got the ball back with 2:42 to go, like I breathed a sigh of relief. I was like, okay, we're good. I knew Coach Natoli was going to do a great job managing the clock, just like he did last week against Dudley. I had nothing to do with that last drive. I was a rah-rah guy, on a first down play. That was all Brady, our skilled guys, Isaiah Lackey, and Coach Natoli. I really just sat there and got to watch. But once we had the ball at 2:42 to go, and you've got a kid back there like Brady, and you got Jamie and Chappell and D. Lee and Isaiah and Medley. I wasn't worried at all, honestly.
They say good teams, coaches have to hold the players accountable. Great teams, players hold each other accountable. Did you have a little bit of that this year?
Oh yeah, we definitely did. Even at the game this week, I told them that 71st the most physical team we played all year.
Mm-hmm.
They physically were just really, really good and beat on you. And it was the weirdest. It was the weirdest feeling I felt out of this team in the locker room. Like, we were up by 5 points at halftime, and it felt like we were losing. And I just kind of felt like we were kind of like hanging our heads a little bit. So I lit into them pretty good. And then I started thinking, like, wait, we're winning, and we've only given up this amount of points to a team that averages 48. Let me try to backtrack and change that. So I went and said, you know what, I'm gonna let seniors talk to them. And I kind of stood outside the door and heard of some things they were saying, and our seniors, what they said to our guys was perfect. It was better than anything I could have said. I walked back in, and I didn't tell them I heard it, but I said, I don't know what was said, but I got a feeling in here, and I got a little tingle, so I think we're gonna be just fine. So, You know, I mean, that was it. The Turner Woods, the Will Princes, Tyvon Gwynn, Henry Pitts, those seniors that we have, Jay Carraza, you know, those seniors right there, I mean, they are unbelievable. Probably best group of seniors as far as leadership I've ever had.
What was it like around the halls at Hickory High today? And did anybody buy you dinner since Saturday night or Friday night?
Well, if you know me, I kind of hide from that. I'm not I don't really like being in the forefront and all that stuff. I like just kind of sticking to myself. So I kind of hid up there with Coach Kraft during first period, and then, you know, second period and third period I have a class, and fourth period I got out of there pretty quick. But a lot of congratulations, a lot of kids coming up, high-fiving and things like that. But, you know, our kids are still flying high, and some of them are the same as me. Like, it just still feels kind of surreal. But, you know, we start looking at rings and things like that. They start getting excited.
I heard you mention before in previous interviews about some of the people that, you know, wherever you're at now, that people that have influenced you as a coach. Who are some of those mentors, people that really had a profound effect on you and you being a coach and to get to where you're at right now?
Well, I think in high school, going back to one of my high school coaches, probably Rob Bliss. Coach Bliss would get after you, but he would also praise you the next play, and I think that really stuck with me, you know, growing up and coming around. And then, of course, I got my start with Chris Deal and Tom Harper at Alexander Central, and I learned kind of my rugged and tough, mean side from Chris Deal, but I also saw how much he loved those kids, how he was always had them at his house, was always, you know, spending time with them. I mean, he's moving them in, and how Tom Harper was more of a guidance counselor than he was a coach a lot of the times. So those two guys right there were very, very influential to me and everything. You know, and then Ron Turner, we coached together at Alexander Central, and he came to be my offensive coordinator at Hickory for a little bit. He kind of taught me to calm down a little bit, you know, kind of sit back, just chill out. And then, you know, J.K. Atkins, who just won a state championship too, just talking to J.K., you know, just seeing how J.K.'s demeanor is and how he can be fiery but also be very calm and even keel at times.
You guys are both from Freedom, right, Coach?
Yes.
You guys. Okay.
Yeah, so those guys right there are really very influential to me over the years. You know, I can't say enough about Chris Deal, especially. You know, Chris Deal took me under his wing, and anybody that's coached for Chris Deal knows that, you know, he is not the easiest guy to coach for. And I tell people, like, he never raised his voice at me, he never got mad at me, but now he made me go to his house and break down film and do stuff till 9, 10 o'clock on Sunday nights after we had just had a 7-hour meeting. But I learned how to work from him, and I learned how not to do some things from him. But, you know, and the family man that he was, and you know, Chris Deal's still my hero. You know, and I tell everybody that was probably the saddest part about Friday is, you know, he never got to win one, and I know he would have been ecstatic for me and been there had he been able to.
We're talking with Coach Joe Glass, head coach of the Hickory Red Tornadoes. Coach, one of the things that Brady made mention, I asked him just kind of give me some high points of how things came together. And one of the things that he kind of alluded to were the way that you guys were able to pick apart and basically run offense based on what they were giving you. And so that took a lot of game time preparation to figure out, okay, where do we need to attack them and then see how they respond and see if we can continue down that road. Would you agree with that assumption?
Oh, absolutely. Our offense was the strength of our team. Once again, that's another tribute to Coach Natoli. You know, his film study and his study with Brady and having a kid like Brady that's so smart, that understands, you know, things and picks things up so well, really makes a big difference. But, yeah, I mean, you play man, we're going to do this. You play cover 3, we're going to do this. You play cover 2, we're going to do this. And we had gotten to the point, you know, once we got to the playoffs that we had seen all of them. You know, so it really was, and he had done such a good job preparing Brady and our offense for that, it was really seamless, to be honest with you.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I'm very excited that Hickory was able to do that. And I know you've got some kids that are really excited and ready to get started again for next year, and that means a whole lot when you've got that kind of leadership and you've got that kind of bond and continuity with your kids. That makes it going through for the next season a whole lot easier.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure if it was up to Brady and them, they'd be out throwing tomorrow. But we're going to take the rest of the week off and get through exams, and we'll come back after Christmas and start hitting it hard. 18 weeks is a lot.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yes,
it is. It's a long time. Again, Coach, congratulations, and thanks for bringing one back to the Catawba Valley.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That's Joe Glass.
Thank you, Coach.
Head coach of of the Hickory Red Tornadoes, and even he says it. It surprised him a little bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know how things are going to gel together when you've got younger kids, and you just have to kind of play it by ear.
As he mentioned a couple of times, the staff, they get along. Even the athletic staff. You have the athletic director, David Kraft, who was on the staff when they won their last championship in 1996. You have the basketball coach, who we tried to get tonight, maybe we'll have him in the future, Daniel Willis, who was the quarterback on that 96 team. So there's been a nice seamless type thing going on over the last 2 or 3 years. Like, I didn't want to ask him about it, but you can go back 3 or 4 or 5 years. The program was really in a total mess.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were getting good players. They weren't being developed. Issues and stuff inside the school and outside the school. And coaches mentioned it the last time we talked. It was very difficult to try to build the kind of culture that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it took some patience, took some tough loving, if you want to say it that way. And it paid off Friday night.
My wife used to kind of get amazed, and she couldn't figure out how I did it. I could, if the kids got in trouble, I could just ream them. And then in 15 minutes, they're back on my lap, loving on them. She says, how do you do that? I said, you take the moment to make the correction. But once that's over, you don't isolate them. You bring them back. And that's what he was saying. You got to make the corrections, but
a
it's
teachable moment.
It's with tough love.
Yeah.
And you got to bring them back, and it's okay.
If you don't, you're going to lose them.
That's right. You got to do both.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a really bad Dan Patrick imitation here, okay, for Bob Duckworth. Stat of the day, dump bump, stat of the day. Hickory High School finished 16-0, and the last 2 teams they defeated were undefeated when they played them. And that's your stat of the day.
I didn't know Ragsdale was undefeated. I did that game. Okay. And I mean 42-0 against an undefeated team in the state championship game. That's amazing. And I mentioned it earlier. I thought it was amazing that here on Saturday, Lenore Ryan playing Harding University, both teams were private schools. 10 years ago, Lenore Ryan ran a wishbone, the same kind of offense that Harding ran. And then on Friday night, the night before, the local high school at Harding is playing and won a state 4A championship, and the local high school a mile and a half or a mile down the road from LR, Hickory High, they win a state championship on the same night.
So how big a town is Harding?
About 25,000.
Okay.
It's Searcy, Arkansas.
And they've got about that many in the college?
No, they had 4,500.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not a big state school?
No, it's a private school.
Bob's talking about the last 2 teams that Hickory played in this run.
Oh, yeah. We're both
Ragsdale were 8-4.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Game.
Okay.
Bob says you're drinking something other than water.
No,
I haven't been watching him, Bob.
No,
he can just do whatever he wants to.
This is this free water that you give me.
I don't have any other elixirs here.
No,
I got to restock the bar.
Oh, okay? But I haven't taken one. Lately.
No, I've used them.
Okay,
it's been long days sometimes. Matt Hodge said, "Stat of the day: Tony was offsides."
Yes, he was.
Chiefs.
As a former receiver, you're darn right he was offside. The idiot. He's from me to you. He can't see the ball.
Well, now
his whole body was offside.
Here's the deal. Even with this team that 4 and I did this fall, okay, these are 11 and 12-year-olds. Okay, we taught the receivers when you line up and you're wide, look at the official and say, "Am I okay?"
Yeah, but he wasn't wide. He was in the slot.
But still, how does he offsides in the slot? You're supposed to be off the line. That's what I'm saying.
It's even worse.
So why wasn't there too many men on line scrimmage?
No, I mean there was somebody outside of him.
Yeah.
And there was.
But that would make him a covered receiver, right? Make him ineligible?
No.
I thought you couldn't be covered up on the line.
He wasn't on the line, so he was in the slot.
I know, but he was offsides.
Yeah, he was at the line, and the wide receiver was
off the line. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And Kelsey was on the other side, the tight end.
Point being, we would teach 11 and 12-year-olds when you go to the line, Am I okay?
I know.
And they'll tell you yes or no. I mean, it's real simple. Now,
I didn't.
Matt Hodge said the whole thing is the referee didn't know a touchdown was going to happen. Most people don't understand, and I'm going to help you here, Milton, even though the officiating in the NFL is terrible, okay?
Maybe the worst it's ever been.
Yes. There's a penalty that could be called on every play if you wanted to.
Actually, Tony, the wide receiver, was in front of the tackles because the tackles are almost in the backfield now, and they take like a one-step drop right before the ball is snapped. So they're illegal too. But that wasn't what bothered me the most was the fact that Patrick Mahomes and his wife and his family got on Twitter and got on all the social media and complained and whined. Did you see him after the game too?
Yes, I did.
Throwing his helmet down like a little tantrum, like a little baby.
Lindsay said, how do you not know you're literally in front of everyone? I'll give you one better than that. You want me to tell you the one thing that drives a coach absolutely nuts? Is a nose guard that jumps off sides.
Oh, yeah.
The football is under your face. Yeah. I will crawl a kid. I don't even care what age you are. I will crawl you.
Sometimes those centers are sneaky, though. They'll move the ball.
Then they should be called.
But sometimes they don't get caught. It ain't cheating if you ain't getting caught, right?
Well, it ain't cheating if you don't get caught. That's right.
It ain't cheating if you ain't trying.
Let me back up here. Matt said, my whole thing is the referee didn't know a touchdown was going to happen. And then Chad said, did you see ESPN showed he was off 4 or 5 times more during the game but didn't get called? Lincoln said, this is Lincoln Pauly, ladies and gentlemen, the ref on that side was a token female. Okay? So I'm going to say. 4 said you ask if you are the last man on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but he wasn't on the last. He wasn't the last man on. But you're right. All you have to do is say, "Hey, Mr. Official."
Milton said Von Miller was offsides on the next play. Matt said one ref said the penalty has been called 11 times this year, so they're trying to enforce it twice last year. Now, according to what I heard, because Nick Wright was whining on his show today because he's a big Kansas City fan. He was whining, and out of that 11 times, 9 of those 11 were linemen. So
but
they weren't counting that.
Mahomes had 2 or 3 more downs to make up for that 5-yard penalty, and they didn't do anything but punt. They had the ball previously, and they went 3 and out.
Lincoln said it was clear he was in the neutral zone. You just ask. It's real simple. And the other side of this argument is a wide receiver like that or a slot receiver, they're not getting any type of extra advantage by lining up off sides. Not like a fat boy in the trenches.
I think Kansas City is a frustrated football team because they made a bunch of moves in the last couple of years that
because of money.
Because of money, they don't have the talent they used to have at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Ford wants me to ask you one question before we go. How about all those low scores in the NFL this week? Did I not see where somebody won 3-0 or something, or 10-3 and extra innings, or it's a baseball score?
Yeah, there's no high octane. When you have all the changes they've had at quarterbacks the last couple of years,
well, the reason
and offensive coordinators changing,
but the reason that you're not seeing it is because they can't keep top talent on the field.
That's one of the biggest reasons. That's not the biggest reason. The other big reason is the best talent, the quicker players, the more athletic players are playing at the defensive line and linebackers.
Lincoln, you're correct. Lincoln said that was 3-0. The Minnesota Vikings won 3-0.
It was It would have been the first time what I heard if that guy would have missed the field goal. He kicked it with a minute.
First time for overtime with nobody scored
since 1943, something like that.
Wow. Okay. All right, that'll do it for us for now. Somebody's calling me.
Your man in demand.
Don't want to be. Have a great evening. I think Mr. Rembert will be here tomorrow, as far as I know. I hadn't heard otherwise. Have a good night. See ya.